Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Coaching Live. I am Hope Borman. I'm the Divisional President for High Trust Coaching, and I have with me Michael Regan, one of our certified High Trust coaches. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Hope. How are you doing?
I'm doing spectacular. It's a great day. It's a great day at High Trust Coaching. So today, Michael and I wanted to introduce Michael. Michael is one of our certified High Trust coaches. He is one of our master level coaches, and he has been a part of the High Trust community and the High Trust universe for quite some time now. So, Michael, before we get started, will you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So I'm Michael Regan. I'm actually out in the northern or Bay Area in California. Been in the business since 2006, so got in at an awesome year as the market was starting to crash. But it was amazing. Working with my wife, and last year did a little over 107 million in personal production, and then obviously working on building a team around us. So that's kind of a little bit about me.
So, Michael, 107 million, congratulations on that. That's lovely. That's wonderful. So question for you. I mean, a lot of our coaching members we had the tsunami of new business last year. I know that you have an outstanding team. How did you and your team, do you feel as though you're a little bit better positioned for 2020?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole thing is that obviously none of us expected to be 2020, what it ended up being,
Right.
But it was, having the systems in place. I think when I look at this is everything we do, we have to look in the future. So everything you're going to do right now is really for the future. So by having, number one, follow up with your clients. So having a whole system to be able to follow up with your clients, to keep them in your family, to keep them around, having that constant connection with your referral partners, and then obviously having a team that you're constantly building to do more business, right? When you have those factors in, then all of a sudden an opportunity presents itself with what we had last year. All of a sudden, rates plummeted. Then we were in a perfect position because we had the systems already in place. We had the client connection and the client loyalty that all of a sudden you literally push a button, start picking up the phone, sending emails out, and all of a sudden the business just rushes in. Even more so. So it's just having the systems in place to be prepared for when the opportunity comes, and hope. And you've been in the business a long time. So think of this in 2010, 2008 through, really 2011, it was brutal in this business, right? I mean, it was really tough. But I always looked at that point, that to me, that was the huge opportunity because a lot of people fell off. Like they got either lazy, they gave up, they didn't put systems in place, they didn't build properly. And what that time was for me was taking market share, right? So you grow your market share, even though it's not huge, because the market's so small, you grow your market share. And then once you've grown that market share, all of a sudden when the market gets bigger, when that pie gets bigger, you've got a bigger chunk of that pie and your business just explodes. And that's kind of what I always am looking for is how can I position myself so that, again, even in a decreasing market, in a shrinking market, that's actually some of the best opportunity to actually grow your business. So when the market opens back up again, you're just ready to pounce. You've already done the work. And now you actually get to enjoy, kind of reap the rewards that you've had from all that time. So that was kind of 2020 for me. And even 2019 was that all the work I'd done for years to be in that position, it just, obviously benefited from it a lot.
Michael, that just puts the concept of being intentional about your business on steroids, right? I mean, it really, really does. And we talk about that a lot in coaching, about being intentional, positioning yourself well. But for those coaching members that have been with us for a couple of years, they were ready. They were better positioned. I mean, they still got slammed, but with capacity and fulfillment and all of the rest of things, but they were much better positioned to be looking forward. So I love what you just said about, always looking for the future, building your business for the future. I love that.
Yeah. And I always say, come with a mindset of abundance, because I've talked to a lot of my coaching clients. They initially, because you see all these reports, the market's going to fall apart or, refis are going to go away or this is going to happen and all these kind of bad stuff. Right. And they kind of start freaking out like, oh my gosh, should I not hire? Should I not do this? And I'm like, you know what? Going with the mindset of abundance is that, don't be so overstaffed. You got to let all these people go. But at the same time, really think about, well, what happens if it's not that way? What happens if I just keep my head down? I keep doing what I'm doing, keep building my business, keep adding referral partners, keep adding clients. Well, yeah, great. Again, don't worry about the economy. Only worry about your economy. Right. And the thing is, just because the market's down doesn't mean you have to have a down year. So I think it's that mindset of, have abundance, be smart about what you do, but also have that whole mindset of abundance and that, hey, look, if I do the things that I'm going to need to do, guess what? I'm going to be successful and I better be in a position where I'm a little bit overstaffed so that if something does happen, and we can get into that, but I mean, I think if you've seen some news around lately, I think there may be another opportunity, later this year and even into next year, where we may be pretty busy again. I mean, this is a great time to be in the mortgage business for the next couple of years. Right. So it's one of those things, be ready. Even if it slows down a little bit for a little while, you better be ready because it could be coming back.
Take advantage of that time, and really kind of make some decisions and, and that's, again, key to not being at the effect of the business, not being at the effect of what's happening in the marketplace. Be your own marketplace. I mean, there's, that's the one thing that I've always loved about being in the mortgage industry is that there's always opportunity. There's always opportunity. It's purchase, it's refinance, it's investment, it's whatever those things are. You just pivot and turn, and just make sure that you're ready in any arena, right?
Absolutely. No, I mean, that's the biggest thing. It's being ready. It's having that mindset, and just having everything in place. And again, always looking forward. Don't look behind you. Don't worry about that. Really focus on how can I get better every day? How can I be better positioned? How can I do things better to grow my business? Because again, when things get tough, that's actually the best opportunity to grow your business. Because again, people are going to disappear. They're going to, the people who got in kind of late will leave early. And the people aren't committed and don't have that business plan, don't have those, all those things that we talk in high trust, putting all those systems in place, having everything. If you don't have that and things get tough, then, well, those kind of people end up going away. But if you have all those systems, that's when you really start growing. That's where you may not always see it, but that's really where you start growing your business. So when it does expand, you've done the work.
Exactly. You're in ready mode. So Michael, today we're going to talk about the economics of business, and we've kind of already started. So when considering the economics of business, what would you consider to be the key factors for everybody to be considering at this time?
Yeah. So this is the thing is about the one thing that, I mean, I love our business, but the one thing that kind of drives me nuts and that I talk with so many times with my coaching clients is that, look, in this business, you're taught, hey, go get leads, bring it in. And, some companies will be like, hey, just give it to us and we'll handle it. Or some say, okay, build your team and, do it your way, that kind of thing, but just go get the business. Right. But what people don't talk about is they see these big numbers that, some people do, and they see all these things, but they don't see behind the curtain. And what I want people is to look behind the curtain, start looking at the economics of the business, because really no one teaches you the economics of the business. You don't understand where the money is, how much it is, what it looks like, and what should you be getting. And because at the end of the day, you have to have a mindset of, look, I'm the one getting the leads. Like if you're at a company where you're given leads, and that's a different story. But if you're 100% self-sourced, you need to really look at, okay, what piece of the pie am I getting? And how is my company going to support me? And what do the economics look like? And that's the biggest thing a lot of people don't understand. Again, it's easier to be the lowest price leader, do this huge business. And there's not necessarily a bad thing. That's just one model. But another model is, hey, let's look at the fundamentals. Let's look at the economics. Let's look at what my comp is, what my revenue to the branch is, what that looks like. And is my company actually sharing in that with me, or are they not? Or how much are they hiding? And it's a conversation that I get a lot of companies don't want to have, quite frankly. And so it's not taught, but I think it's a very important conversation to have, is that ultimately at the end of the day, we're not a nonprofit. Like we're here to help people and change their lives, help our clients' lives, but we're also here to take care of our families. Yes. And I think that gets missed in our business more than ever. It's so much is that I talk to so many people. I'm like, okay, let's look at the economics. And they're like, what? Huh? Like, I don't even know how to read a P&L. And so that's the thing that I really want people to focus on, is start learning that, realizing how important it is. Because, say you do, if you can make the same amount of money, if you can position yourself and offer a great competitive rate to your client, but you can make as much as someone doing double your volume, whose life is better there? I mean, who has a better balance? Who has a better life? And actually, who gets to know their clients? Like if it's one thing you do help 1,000 people, do you actually know them? And again, it's not a bad or good thing. If you want to be transactional, then that's your choice. If you don't care about people and you just want to do as much business and get your name in the lights, then cool. I mean, if that's what you want to do, and that's fine. But there's those of us, and I'm in that thing. And that's why I'm in high trust, because Todd believes that, that I want to know my clients. I want to get to know people. I want to be involved in my community. That's something that drives me. Like the loan business itself is awesome, but that's not exciting to me. Really, over at the end of the day, what's exciting to me is, number one, the building, the systems, how I can create and be creative, but also getting to know people and be able to connect with them on a deeper level. Like to me, that is the thing that drives me and makes me excited about the business, makes me happy. Like, when you have great clients, great referral partners, when they call you, actually want to pick up the phone, you're like, oh, cool. And it's like talking to a friend.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but that's how that I like to build the business. So I've chosen that model. Again,
Mhm.
not judging, if you want the transactional model, that's your thing, then cool. That's your thing. I just like to have more of the relationship model, to have truly the high trust model of getting
Right,
to know your clients, adding a lot of value. Because
right,
again, and there's really two types, right? We have the transactional model
right,
and we have the high trust. I mean,
right,
those are very distinct models.
right.
And to me, the transactional model is, you're looking at it like you don't care about the people. You just want to do as much as you can. You want to be, get interviewed in places and get your name out there and just be one of those. Yeah, but I mean, it's great, but you don't know your clients. And a lot of that model, transactional, you better be the lowest price.
You
And
better
in
be.
many cases they are. I mean, you hear about it behind the scenes in the industry. They don't make much per loan. Like if we were comparing W-2s, it'd be a different story, right?
Yeah,
But it's one of those things where that's their drive. And if that's your drive and you want to be transactional, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I don't want to demean that at
yeah,
all,
sure.
but that is a way of doing it. Then your other high trust model is, hey, look, let me add a lot of value. Because again, the transactional model, you're not adding a lot of value. You're just in and out there with your team or your pod or whatever that is.
Mhm.
You're not adding a lot of value. And so again, you better be the lowest price. But in a high trust model, you can actually build a really highly profitable business that also takes care of clients, because you get to know them. You get to know, hey, look, let's think about strategies. What are you trying to accomplish? What goals are you trying to do? Where are you trying to get to, and how can I help you get there? And you can also take the time to say, hey, I see that you don't have a trust, that you haven't met with a financial advisor, that you haven't done this, and you can start referring them. Obviously, that's going to help your business, but it helps them, because you're the one person realistically that has kind of the biggest view of their whole entire financial profile. I mean, you think of this, a financial advisor is going to look at their assets, right? They
Right,
don't always look at their debts.
right.
And we really focus in debt management, but
Uh-huh.
not only do we look at their dets, but we also see, because you need their bank statements, you need their retirements, you need all those things to do the
Right.
loans. So by seeing that, you can see where there's holes in a client's kind of financial profile. And
Mhm.
then you can actually give them that value of, hey, let's talk about this. Let me get you to someone who can actually put you in a better position, because I see there's some gaps here. And that could be an insurance agent. Like in my area, we have huge fires. So
Mhm.
many people lost everything because they were underinsured, because they had some clickbait, insurance company that had the cheapest policy but didn't
Mhm.
cover anything. And
Right.
so now they have a piece of dirt, but that's all they have.
Mhm.
And so it's getting them with professionals that are going to put them in the best position to succeed. I mean, I always look at this is, what I see is the most successful, the most intelligent, like really savvy people. What they understand is they don't know everything. And what
Yeah.
they do is they put people who are experts in different fields all
Yeah.
around them to
Uh-huh.
help them succeed.
Right.
And that's where our role comes in,
Right.
is that we are one of those valued, trusted professionals that is always going to make sure we're essentially managing their debt.
Mhm.
And the whole point of doing that can be life changing, because really, and Todd has said this, is, what's the number one cause of health issues in the world? And it's stress.
Yes.
What's the number one, and I'll have you answer this, Hope. What is the number one type of stress in the world today?
Money.
Financial. Exactly.
Financial.
Yeah. And so the whole point is that if we can help alleviate and help and guide people into a better financial future,
Right.
then that can alleviate stress. That can put them in a much better health and mindset. I
Mhm.
mean, you can really change lives. So if you look at it in that way, you don't
Right.
look at it as a transaction, you look at it as transformational, that you
Right.
can actually take people and help them and guide them into a better life. Then guess what? You are unbelievably you're invaluable, but I mean, you're just incredible. The value you deliver to your clients is amazing, and you really get that deep connection with them because you've transformed their lives.
Right.
So when you run your business like that, you don't need to be the low cost leader.
Right, exactly. And I think that,
Yeah.
not going into a conversation, Michael, without asking those questions. What's important to you about this mortgage financing? What do you know about this? Asking the questions that, as Todd Duncan would say, ask the questions that are not being asked.
Mhm.
Right? That they don't know to ask. Because I think so many of our consumers, if you're not in the mortgage industry, you don't know the questions to be asking. So it really is critical that as a mortgage originator and as a mortgage professional, that you are asking them those questions and having them basically giving them that food for thought and that information for them to be considering. So when we say, making an informed decision about your mortgage financing, These are the things that we're talking about. Am I right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right, Hope. And that's the whole thing is it's again looking at that mindset of look, how can we truly help people and change their lives? And it's a whole mindset too, but it's also what your value is. Because
Yeah.
look, if you want to be the low price leader, then that's because you're not delivering value. But if you don't need to be the low price leader, you better deliver a lot of value. And I think that's where the world is changing. And you're seeing kind of the world divide into two. It's either you better be the lowest cost leader, but those kind of clients are not going to care about anything, or those people who serve those clients don't care. It's just a transactional get in and go. Or then you have the people that actually want help. Because for instance, you thought of this years ago. I think it was E-Trade or one of those. They wanted to get rid of financial advisors. They wanted everything online, people to serve themselves, all that kind of stuff. Well, if you've noticed, that same company, and I believe it was E-Trade, opened up offices with financial advisors inside of them because they realized for complicated financial decisions, people actually need support. They need guidance. They need a person who knows what they're doing. And so again, the world is divided into two, and you get to choose which way you want to go. I think that middle ground is disappearing. You either have that incredible value to your clients, or you better be incredibly cheap, but there's really no in between. And so that's where it's going. So yeah, I think this is an amazing opportunity. And that's what I love about High Trust. Right. What Todd has taught is, and teaches on a continual basis, is how do we add value? How do we connect with our clients at a deeper level? How do we change their lives? And if you care about that, again, to me, that is the most profitable and most fulfilling type of business, is when you can actually truly help people. Because again, you think of this, and it's exciting. When you get a client who calls you and goes, "What's your rate and fees?" Well, they're only asking that because they don't know what else to ask. They Google it and like, "What's the rate and fees?" Like, that's the only thing I should ask. Yeah. And it's like, well, I don't know. I mean, let me ask you a couple questions. And so I never answer that question, because my whole thing is, I'm like, I want to know more about you. Like, what are you trying to accomplish? What are your goals? And get them off the rate conversation, get them into, how can I help you? Right. And it's amazing the conversations that you can have and that come through that, and the client just loyalty and retention that comes from having those calls. And the cool thing is, if when you have that conversation with someone and they don't get it, they're the low price leader kind of thing, they don't care about anything else, then that's awesome, because you got rid of them. You let them go. And then you focus on the clients that actually want your help and that you can help. And the people who don't, they go.
Let me ask you a question. As you're talking, and I know that you've built your business on this premise, and done incredibly well. So, Michael, how would you say? And I'll throw it. This is just an odd question, so I don't know if you don't know that. If you don't know, you may not know it. But what would you say? What percentage of your new business is referred by your referral partners? Referred by your referral partners, and also what percentage of your business comes from past clients?
Well, I'll put it together, because I always do my numbers at the end of the year. So 73% of my business came from my database last year. That includes past clients and referral business. So, and that's purchase, refi, that's everything. So, my business is really predicated on referral. I don't buy any leads. I never have. I don't, advertise. I don't have MSAs inside a building or a builder or real estate office. Like, what I built my business on is choosing very carefully who I work with and who I want to. And that means clients and referral partners. Right. But the cool thing about doing that over the years, as I built it, is that I have I have a huge fan base that they get our value. We've given them a lot of value, and then they refer us. So many of our clients are, I know Todd talked about this a couple of years ago, and he continues to talk about it, which is important, but it's a consumer direct model. Well, your database is your consumer direct model in a way. And so it's one of those things, when you have built up a loyal database that you've delivered a lot of value to, they're your biggest fans. Yeah. And any money that I spend in my business on marketing per se is all 100% devoted to my current clients and referral partners. Absolutely none of it is devoted to getting anyone new. Because quite frankly, why would I spend my money on people who don't know me and don't care about me? When I could actually spend my time, my money on people who love me and trust me.
Exactly. And, and that's the dream. 73% of your business comes from 107 million, right? Yep. Last year, comes from your client, from your past clients, from your database of clients. I mean, that's the dream, that's the goal. And it was something that I learned very, very early on in my career, and I was sitting in that room with you, Michael, listening to Todd Duncan talk and saying, if you're not calling your database, you're leaving money on the table. And boy, I switched and I went from maybe 5% of my business coming from my client base to 67% is what I ended up in the first year. And it was because it was simple. I just started asking. Yes. Right?
No, but that's is the thing is like it always blows my mind. Like we've had, I've had conversations with other people in the business who are like, I'm 100% purchase rep. And I'm like, wow, in a refi boom, if you're 100% purchase rep, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, it's like part of the high trust model and how I run my business is that the whole point is when I tell people I'm going to help them manage their debt for the rest of their life, or as long as they have their mortgage with me, part of that is backing that up. So if I'm telling them, hey, I'm going to help manage your debt, I'm going to always make sure you're in the best position, to be successful. You got to actually do it. And so if you're telling people these things or not, if you're more transactional, you're missing a huge opportunity, because when I can call someone and say, hey, rates are plummeting, and they're like, okay, cool, let's do it. Like they don't question. I don't have to resell them. They've already been through it. They already know it. I just know, or again, hey, we're buying into their house, or my brother's buying a house, or, this is happening. This is happening. It's amazing because I don't have to resell them. The relationship has already been built. It's there. It's just getting deeper. And again, it also, you have to look at the economics. Getting back to the economics is, okay, again, what do I pay for this lead? When I've spent all my time and my effort on continuing to build my database and to take care of my current clients, it's pennies on the dollar than if I had to buy, leads from another lead generation company, pay for a relationship inside a realtor office or a builder, or, all that kind of stuff, which I know a lot of people do, but that's expensive.
Yeah.
You pay some of these lead places and they're $3,000 and $4,000 and $5,000 a month. And it's like, really? And you get a bunch of leads that you better have a big staff, because the conversion percentage.
Well, it turns into a call center, right?
Exactly. It's a whole call center, and it's not profitable. Yeah. Like you better be the lowest price leader, because that just, again, you have to figure out where you are in the market and who you want to be. Like, do you want to be that way, or do you want to provide value? And so again, I always chose value, because my thing is, again, the day I like to be efficient. And so I've always run a very tight, efficient team. I don't have a team of 20 people to do that. Really most of last year we did it with a team of 2. And so it's one of those things where I keep it small, efficient, but we've got it down and we build a lot of connection with our clients. And so I don't have to spend all this time going through a million leads when I actually just get all the leads that I get are much higher quality, that I don't have to resell, that I'm just talking about how I can help them. So, to me, that's kind of what it's about, because it's a much more profitable business than, the other way.
Exactly. And that's a very good point, is what did you pay for that referral from that past client?
Yeah. It was penny. If you put in whatever I spend that I do spend on them, it was still pennies. It's really almost nothing. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So I'm going to shift a little bit. Purchase market. And, obviously we're in 2 things that I'd like to talk a little bit about. One is that we're a little bit still, most of the states in the country are still in a virtual environment. We're in a purchase market is picking up. It's going to continue to pick up. How are you helping your clients, Michael? And how are we advising our coaching members to win in that purchase market and in virtual market?
Yeah, no, it's really cool. There's a lot of tips you can do in terms of like getting new business. That question could go a lot of different ways. So I would say first is, how do you get new referral partners in this market when you can't even go, there's no broker tours, you can't really go see them.
Right.
There's a lot of things we've been testing out with my coaching clients, is that we've done some cool things. Like, people will send them, what I always tell them is be personal. So before you're going to reach out to someone, the best thing is to do a referral, right? So if you talk to your current referral partners, go, hey, who in your office or who do you know that is, maybe had a bad experience with their current lender or doesn't really have a great relationship with their current lender? Who can I talk to that you can introduce me? So that's one. That's, again, your bread and butter, right? Like a warm lead as opposed to a cold lead. So that's one thing that can be really powerful, just asking. And I don't think enough of us just even ask. And I'm guilty of that at times, believe me. So it's one of those things, but to keep on there. Then the other thing is, if you want to go, if there's no connection, you have no connection to a referral partner, but you know enough about them that you want to have that conversation. Another cool thing that's been working is you try to find something that they're passionate about. Like you ask around other people in their office, you can Facebook stalk, whatever, but figure out what they're kind of passionate about and get them something. Like it could be a book. It just something little, obviously, and kind of reach out to them, send them a cool envelope. Like it should be brightly colored. It should be stand out with a handwritten note that just, says, hey, I would love to, I saw that you were interested in this, or I thought this book, or, whatever it is, what would be of interest to you. And I just want to share something that I was passionate about, or that's something I love that I thought would really help you. And, I wanted to, and then expect a call from me in a week or 2, whatever it is, just a little kind of warm intro.
Yeah.
So that when you do call, there's some kind of connection, like, okay, I know who this person is. And you're going to put yourself in a position that, you're going to stand out, number one. If you do it right with a handwritten note, with something that's actually personal, some little, and it doesn't have to be anything big. It's just something little personal, that you're warming them up, as opposed to just calling them, and they're like, who are you? You've kind of warmed them up to be expecting your call, that you've already given them something of value, like something to think about, can be huge. And so it's a warm introduction. So when you call them, the conversation can kind of get past of who are you to, okay, let's talk. So that's actually been something that's worked. The other thing is that a lot of my coaching clients, and I've done this, is we do Zooms, right, with our current agents. Yeah. Monthly, quarterly Zooms to keep up on what's going on. But what you can also do is say, hey, look, if you've enjoyed this, you're obviously here. So, you're getting some value out of this. Invite someone else, invite another, agent in your office that doesn't use us, that maybe, you think would find this of use, and then just invite them on the call. And it's amazing, because when you get a new agent that doesn't know a lot about you, but they're surrounded by your best referral partners and the people who already love you, then they're talking about you. Because I've had several Zoom calls where one agent be like, yeah, Michael and Patricia saved me on this, or they did this, or they're amazing, they did this, and they're selling me for them. Right. And so it's a way to kind of use Zoom to have that connection, and then obviously follow up with them going, hey, let's talk. But when they've had that kind of warm, they see what all your other referral partners, the positive things they're saying about you. And then also from the Zoom, delivering value, giving them the information that's going to help them succeed in their business. When they see that, they're like, well, my current lender's not doing any of this. Maybe at least it's good to have a conversation. Now, what you do from that conversation, that's a different story, but at least it opens the door so you can have those conversations. So that's what I would say is a couple things you could start with, to start opening the doors in terms of connecting with new referral partners, for sure. And that could be in any business too. CPAs, financial advisors, divorce attorneys. I mean, it all works for the same kind of group, but
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, Michael. And I think that you've given just an immense amount of value here. So the thing is that one of the things that I wanted to ask you as we're closing out, we're coming up on the end of our hour, our 30 minutes. This has been amazing. But Michael, talk to us a little bit. You're a certified high trust coach. What motivated you to become a high trust coach? I mean, you've got a thriving business. What was your motivation, and how is it serving you?
Well, it was something I always wanted to do. I mean, it was a passion of mine because I love building. My thing is building and creating, and to be able to work with someone who, because a lot of this business isn't about reinventing the wheel, right? There's things that can work. And so the point is that taking someone who, is in a position where they're struggling, because I think of where I was a couple years ago, or 5 years ago now, where I was at my company, top producer, didn't have anyone to look up to, and didn't have anywhere to go. Like, the company didn't help me grow my business or get to the next level. Like, there was no help. And so I was like, well, I need something else. And that's why I got into coaching. I mean, that's the whole point where I personally got, a coach. But I see that for other people, it's exciting to take someone who's got a lot of talent, who's got drive, because it takes drive and a risk, to spend money on coaching. You're committing. I mean, it's a commitment. And I'll tell you, when I first did it, it was scary. It's definitely, kind of nerve wracking, like, oh my gosh, like, I'm really doing this, and I'm actually putting my money where my mouth is. But when you do it, and to work with someone who really wants to change, and because of the experience that I've been through, to be able to help someone go, okay, well, I see where your hurdle is. I see what your issue is. I've been through that with you. I've already been through that. Here's how I dealt with it. Or, let's talk about that. Okay, so you're dealing with this. So it's a way to kind of, again, help someone get clarity about, and my focus is 100% on them. I'm not anyone that's trying to, get them to do more volume and not hire an assistant, right? Because it's going to make me as the branch manager more money. Like, my 100% focus is on how do I improve their business and to make their life better. And so by doing that, that excites me. Like, the growth and seeing people make life-changing decisions and change their path, and be happier about it and be excited. That's what drives me. And that's why I love it with my clients, and then also with my student clients. So that's why I do it.
That's, and that's it in a nutshell, Michael. I mean, I can't say enough how rewarding it is, how meaningful our lives become by being a certified trust coach, by being able to give back in the midst of doing our own business and running our own business, because we bring so much value. And I think that's one of the things that has kind of gone away in our industry, and that is not having a mentor. in not having mentors in our industry. And so this is the path, to having a mentor, is having a high trust coach.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. I mean, that's what it's about. I mean, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can have someone that actually knows what they're doing and help you through these difficult decisions. So yeah, it's huge. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're coming up on the end of our time. I do want to let everybody know that I am looking for maybe 3 or 4 new coaches. High Trust Coaching continues to grow. We're looking for people that are qualified. If you'd like to have a conversation about whether or not what it takes to be qualified for a High Trust Coach, please send me an email to hope.borman@High Trust Coaching. Michael, I want to thank you so very, very much for this time. It's been amazing. I wish we had an hour.
Absolutely, Hope. Now, my pleasure. It's always fun to be with you and on these calls. Absolutely. Thank you, Hope.
All right, dear. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you, everyone.